Will India, our country, now only be called Bharat? For as long as we can remember, we have moved interchangeably with ease between the words India and Bharat. Bharat Bhagya Vidhata are, after all, the words we sing almost every day in our national anthem. We grew up with those words, but we also grew up with India. And as per the constitution and even culturally, the two have always coexisted. But could that be changing? I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. Our focus today is on this big political development that could be imminent, though there's no official word as of now. Could India now only be known as Bharat? Now, remember, there have been BJP leaders who have referenced this suggestion before. The Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa being among them, the RSS chief, has also spoken about the civilizational history of the nomenclature of the word Bharat. But the rumors picked up speed and the opposition has begun asking questions of the government when an invite started doing the rounds online on the internet that is reported to be from President Draupadi Murmu to leaders of the G20. The G20, of course, is imminent in India in a few days from now. Here, the president was described to be the president of Bharat, not the president of India. This has led to a full frontal series of questions from opposition leaders who, of course, because politics can never be divorced from anything that's happening in India, from opposition leaders who have been organized under the alliance that we now know as the India Alliance. The opposition is claiming that it is the government's anxiety about the name India for its alliance that is leading them to contemplate this change. But how does this change really work? Remember, Madras may be called Chennai today, but the High Court is still called the Madras High Court. Likewise for Mumbai, where the High Court is still called Bombay High Court. If this is the resolution, and we don't know for sure, but if this is the resolution that is being brought in the mystery 5-day session of Parliament, is it feasible? What does it actually mean? And what does the Constitution actually say? Looking at both the politics and the legality of this issue, let's introduce our guests on the program today. Let's bring them up one by one, if we can have them on the screen now. We're joined on the program by Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate in the Supreme Court. Good to see you, Sanjay. Always. Madhava Narayan, Senior Journalist, is with us. And as we go along, we'll also be joined by Tehseen Poonawala, who's, of course, a Congress supporter. And we'll also be joined by Bhanuchandra Nagarajan, who is a political analyst. Sanjay, let's start with you. I think you can put into context for us what the Constitution actually says. And the Constitution allows both words, as we know, for our country. India, that is Bharat. What a beautiful sentence. As I say it, it actually gives me goosebumps. Our Constitution drafters, our Constitution architects used both words with ease and interchangeably moved, recognized the sanctity, as it were, of both words. But now we are seeing something that may shift. Can you tell us first how the Constitution deals with this matter? Sanjay Hegde.
Well, the first article, as you correctly said, says India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. And if you go into the Constituent Assembly debates, you would see that this was a carefully formulated first article, and that many of the members of the Constituent Assembly said that they were very happy that the ancient name of India was also being included as the first article. So this was a constitutional compromise, which was part of a constitution itself, which was being drawn up for a country that had recently been partitioned. We were bringing up a new country which had seen the violence of the previous decade. You had the World War, the Jewish Holocaust, and a whole host of violence. And then you said, no, we will go by our ancients, and also in the light of the freedom struggle, we were bringing up a new country. So therefore, we formulated India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. Each of those states were quasi-federal units. All of them had acceded to the union, and the sum of the whole was greater than that of the individual parts. Being given that situation, now to suddenly say that Bharat shall be a union of states, is it only a question of nuance, or is it entire change of direction? That is the real question. And after all,
Don't know
who
the
will,
answer right now to
who
that question, right? We don't know the answer to that question. But I want to be clear that, at least as of now, this invite by the president on behalf of the Republic of Bharat is by itself not an indication of any kind of change, because the constitution does recognize both words. And if somebody wants to say Bharat instead of India, Sanjay, that's absolutely valid and doesn't actually mark a legal change. Am I correct? Is the opposition misplaced
absolutely,
in going hammer and tongs? Are naam change, naam change? The constitution allows us to use both words, either word.
yes, absolutely, because both are interchangeable. India is Bharat and Bharat is India. Curiously enough, with this present government, they may not have thought things through. Even in Urdu, the word is Bharat. It is not Hindustan. If you listen to our neighbors across the border and their news broadcasts, they always speak of Bharat.
Hmm.
So, well, if you think that that better reflects the ethos, and you prefer to use it without effacing India, that is one thing. But effacing India may be another thing altogether.
Well, there could be a situation, before I open this up to Madhavan and Banu, Sanjay, there could be a situation where you say, like with other name changes, that certain things continue to be known as India, certain things are called Bharat. And let's draw examples from Chennai, where the Madras High Court is the Madras High Court, from Mumbai, where the Bombay High Court is the Bombay High Court. And with ease, we alternate between those two names. We say Chennai today, we don't say Madras, but we also say Madras High Court, and we're totally used to and comfortable with this. So the coexistence of these two words should be absolutely possible, right?
Absolutely. We continue to say the Bombay High Court. It is the Bombay High Court. And you remember the old song, Ye hai Bombay, Ye hai Bombay, Ye hai Bombay, Meri Jaan. We have not changed that.
Wasn't
So,
it Ye Hai Mumbai
irrespective,
Meri Jaan? Or do I have amnesia? You were testing me there. You were doing a trick
no, no,
question.
no, 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 no. It was always,
Was it Ye Hai Bombay Meri
it's
Jaan?
an
See, I
old
can't
Raj
even
Kapoor film.
remember. Was the song
It,
Ye Hai Bombay Meri Jaan or Ye Hai Mumbai Meri Jaan? This is what name
yeah,
changes do. You forget your music.
yeah, I'm right. It
Yes.
was Ye hai Bombay, Ye hai Bombay, Ye hai Bombay, Meri Jaan. The others can confirm it. Madhavan, at least, I think, can confirm that. But the point is that uh, change of a name does not necessarily change what people think of the place. And for all of us in Delhi, we still call it Connaught Place. How many of us call it Rajiv Chowk?
Not one person I
Except
know.
those,
Not except Manish Shankar
except
Iyer, who proposed the change. Except Manish Shankar Iyer, and I think even he must not call it Rajiv Chowk or whatever.
no, no.
Right?
If you're traveling by metro, you call it Rajiv Chowk.
Fair enough. But I think, Sanjay, what you're saying, and let me now get Madhavan and Banu in, what you're saying is, as long as the word India is not effaced, the constitution is very clear. We were always India and Bharat. Now, we are waiting for formal word from the government, but we do have a response from Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar. Reacting to Jairam Ramesh of the Congress's criticism about this invitation, Rajiv Chandrasekhar says, they have a problem with everything, and I do not want to say anything. I am a Bharat Vasi. The name of my country was Bharat and will remain Bharat always. Can we put this on the banners also? It's an important statement, Madhavan. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, name of my country was Bharat and will remain Bharat always. Actually, the Constitution of Independent India gives us two names. It's like having a name at home and a formal name. You know how so many of us grew up with a nickname and a whatever? These are two names. Our countries always had two names. Madhavan? Can we unmute Madhavan, please?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Madhavan. Yeah, I can
Barkha,
hear
I
you.
want to take a serious view of this because it's always nice to banter around names, and we all know, that's part of the thing. We grew up in Lutyens, Delhi, when roads names have been changed, and all this is there. But the serious issue is whether there is a long-term plan for cultural hegemony of sorts, because RSS, which has its ideological influence on the current government, has been famous for advocating the idea of Hindu Hindustan, which was proposed by the poet Bhartrendu Hari, I believe, and it's associated with the RSS. So, is the name Bharat being imposed on India? That is one question. The other is we are talking about Bharat, that is India, and even passports have used the word Bharat. I carry a passport that says Bharat along with India. So that has never been the issue. The real question is whether the idea of composite culture, which is the basis of Bharat, that is India, is being questioned slowly, like the Arab Aesop's fable, in which the camel slowly gets into the tent and takes the tent. So India has been a big tent, but not meant to throw out somebody. It has been a tent in which lots of camels exist. So, from a composite culture point of view, as a Tamilian, I can tell you, and it is well documented, that Tamil is the oldest classical language in the world, and Tamil does not belong to the same language as Sanskrit. It is a different language altogether. And although Sanskrit and Tamil have intermingled for thousands of years, they retain their separate identities, including separate letters, or some of which are not present in the north. There are local gods and deities that are unique to Tamil Nadu and the south, which is what gave rise to the Dravidian consciousness. And therefore, you could say that Bharat is not equal to India. Bharat is a part of modern India, which could include other subcultures or cultures such as the Northeastern, the Khasi culture, or the Karbi Anglong culture of Northeast India, the Dravidian cultures of animist worshippers and tribals of southern India. The Adi Dravidas, as they are called in Tamil Nadu, are called tribals elsewhere, who were forest dwelling food gatherers of various tribes.
When you say Bharat is not India, Bharat is part of India, can you explain? Because I grew up singing the anthem, as you
Yeah,
did,
but this
in
is
which we
like,
all sang Bharat Bhagya Vidhata,
I'm
and
glad you
Bharat
asked
was
that.
very organic to us, right?
Yeah, Bharat is still organic to us, but it is, let me draw the analogy of the Soviet Union. When India is called the Union of States, the way Soviet Union in many ways was called Russia. Now, you used to say Russian, remember when Raj Kapoor sang Mera Juta Hai Japani, Sar pe Lal Topi Rusi,
Patloon Hindustani,
no,
Hindustani.
फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तानी,
फिर
पतलून
भी दिल है
इंग्लिस्तानी.
Hindustani. Not sorry, Patloon Hindustani. I'm really doing bad with my old Hindi songs today. Sorry.
To me, Shailendra, we are also
Hmm.
marking the centenary of the poet Shailendra this week, and it's a
Right.
brilliant. And let me also quote: today is the birth anniversary of my favorite rock star Freddie Mercury, who was born in Zanzibar, grew up in Panchgani and Mumbai, and but he called himself of Persian origin because he's a Parsi,
Right.
and he made his mark in Britain, and then became a big hit in the US, including an Oscar movie.
Okay. Why
So,
why are we
but
talking why are we talking about
no,
Queen?
let me. I will tell you why. We have always, the Rig Veda says, "Ano Bhadraha Vishwataha Santu Vishwataha." That means let all noble thoughts come from all sides. We've always been an eclectic civilization. We have not been a unicultural civilization or a monocultural civilization, and therefore modern India
Yeah.
recognizes various cultural streams, of which Bharat may be a leading stream, but it is not the, it is a
It is
preeminent
not the
stream.
only, okay, got it. It's
It's
not the
not
only
dominant, it is preeminent. And therefore,
okay.
referring to India as Bharat is like referring to Soviet Union as Russia. It is a very casual, nice usage. Sirpe Lal Topi Rusi, Lal is for the all of Union, but Rusi is only to part of that federation. And to that extent, anybody who's fearing cultural hegemony might be forced to take a serious view of this, because there are well documented Dravidian historians who will give you long stories. Today is not the day
Okay.
to do that.
Okay, Madhavan, I've got to interject because I want to welcome Sandeep Ghosh to the program. We've also got Banu with us. I just want to play out briefly RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat talking about this a couple of days ago. Now, this debate has been ongoing. We've seen Himanta Biswa Sarma, the Chief Minister of Assam, raking it up. At that time, people made fun of him initially because his Twitter handle actually had an India reference, and that encapsulated how this dualism has always existed, the coexistence of Bharat and India. Is that about to change? Before I get Sandeep and Banu to come in with their comments, this is what Mohan Bhagwat had to say.
हम सब लोग इंडिया शब्द का उपयोग करना छोड़ दें और भारत शब्द का उपयोग करना प्रारंभ करें। कभी कभी अंग्रेजी जानने वालों के सामने हमको बोलना पड़ता है, तो भाषा के प्रवाह में ही इंडिया आ जाता है, क्योंकि उनको समझना चाहिए, कोई जरूरत नहीं है।
Okay, let me just jump in there. That is Mohan Bhagwat, very short clip from him, talking about how India is a colonial hangover of sorts. Sandeep Ghosh, if I can bring in first comments from you. Sandeep, go ahead. And of course, we have to underline this politics here. The opposition alliance is called India, and they're literally fulminating right now. Sandeep Ghosh.
So that's the main point, Barkha. If you ask me as Bharat as a name, I have far lesser objections than what I was hearing Madhavan say, and partly because I don't carry, though I spent a considerable amount of time in Tamil Nadu, I don't have those Dravidian instincts, and I can't comment on that bit. Overall, Bharat, I would not have an issue, but I think what I have, a problem with is the way it is getting introduced. And it would actually appear reactionary to this India name, and it will seem like as if it's being done as a counter to that, which personally I don't think goes down very well politically also, at least in certain sections. It might appeal to BJP's core constituents, people like RSS and everybody else. Indians at large, including, if I may say, even in Tamilians, Dravidians would have probably accepted this in a much more, if it was done in a calibrated way or in a
So you're saying, Sandeep, I want to understand what you're saying. You don't have a disagreement with the name Bharat. You have a disagreement with the fact that it is going to look like a political reaction to the India alliance, in quotes, the opposition alliance.
The India alliance, or even if you set that aside, it will appear to be a very, very political move. Even for a moment, if you were to assume that the India alliance hadn't taken place, there was a way to introduce it. You just cannot spring it on people with this kind of one invitation card from Rashtrapati Bhavan and some other leaks. You see, as you have been saying, Barkha, it is not as if Bharat did not exist in our consciousness, irrespective of which part of India you are, someplace more, someplace less. Even if you see so many of our institutions, whether it's the Beam or Bharat Pay or this and that, there are so many, Bharat Sanchar Nigam, which actually BSNL operates down south as well, including in Tamil Nadu. The people didn't have a problem of interchangeably using Bharat in India, and so you could have made a gradual transition there. But to do it almost like the stroke of midnight, assuming this was going to happen in that coming parliament session next week, that would to me seem like a bit of a knee-jerk action. And that is what is going to create, maybe the idea is to create that disruption, not in a physical sense, but in a political sense, so as to you rub in that point that, okay, we have renamed. But the whole entire move to me appears more political than nationalistic.
That's very interesting coming from you, because you are somebody who's an admirer of the Prime Minister and you think this is misplaced. This is a misplaced way of doing it. Banu, where would you come in on that? Firstly, I want to underline that there is no official word at all from the government. We have seen this invite online. The opposition has asked questions of the government. No one has given a government response. You have individual ministers like Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar. I am a Bharatvasi. I will always remain a Bharatvasi. And I again want to underline President Murmu using the word Bharat by itself does not indicate a name change, because the constitution allows for both or either name. Banu, go ahead.
Yeah, right, Barkha, you're right in saying that we have been using Bharat and India interchangeably. So I don't think that's going to be it's an error, or I don't that's going to be a problem. Secondly, I don't think they're going to take it up in the session and pass a law or something like that, because the name has been used interchangeably. Probably they will give an official circular saying that please use Bharat instead of India, or so on and so forth, right? Thirdly, an interesting point is even within the Hindu right, I think there are two ways of looking at it, right? So in Savarkar's writing, he wants to refer to the land west of Indus as India, or referring to the land of Hindus as India, because he feels that the river Sindhu is something eternal, and that's a more empowering way of referring to a bunch of people rather than achievements of a king. however great he might have been. So that is Savarkar himself. So there is, I think there is going to be Bharat and India used interchangeably. Coming to what Mr. Madhavan was saying, in Tamil Nadu they use Bharata Nadu quite easily as India, and in Malayalam they use Bharatam. So I don't think that's an issue. Also, like, if you look at countries around the world, Turkey is renamed itself as Turkey A. And New Zealand is calling itself Aotearoa in Maori language. So I think like these cultural reclamation projects are part of how the world progresses, right? So I think we are making much about what's happening. It has always been there. Maybe you'll hear more Bharat than India, but we are going to use it interchangeably, is what I feel.
Right. The interesting thing is that there is so much political reaction basis this invite, and we have no official explanation yet as to what is going to happen and what is not going to happen. Sanjay Hegde, before I play out Arvind Kejriwal, and it actually speaks to Sandeep Ghosh's point that this is going to appear political, even if it may please parts of the Hindu rights base. And Banu reminds us that there are two views even within that. I have a constitutional question. Lawyers and congressmen like Manish Tiwari are tweeting saying this is complicated because elsewhere in the constitution, you say President of India. You do not say President of Bharat. But I think once the constitution has made it clear that both are names, is this a legal matter at all? Is this a legal matter from any standpoint, Sanjay?
It can be a legal matter if you are going to efface India from the constitution. Manish Tiwari and the others are right. There shall be an Attorney General for India. There shall be a Supreme Court for India. So are you going to efface India everywhere and replace it with Bharat, the Supreme Court of Bharat, for instance? That might cause its problems. And historically, there's an interesting fact that another lawyer has put out, that at the time of partition, it was Muhammad Ali Jinnah who wanted to say that two new dominions would come, Bharat and Pakistan. It was Pandit Nehru who said no. India is the continuum. We continue as India. You have gone out as Pakistan. That is your headache. So we are a continuum from what was the earlier British Empire in India. And we created this country, which was India, that is Bharat. Now, if you want to efface India from every portion of the constitution, you would have to have so many constitutional amendments. It might be that you will say that remains in the constitution, but hereafter, for purposes of official communication, official language, etc., we will only use the word Bharat.
And I think that could be a more, and that is plausible. That is plausible, though, and legally tenable. That is legally tenable because, in fact, a diplomat was telling me this morning that when treaties are translated into Hindi, the word often used in those treaties is Bharat. So it could be that happens. Now, Sandeep Ghosh, speaking to your point that this is going to look political. Madhavan, give me a second. I just want to play out what Arvind Kejriwal is saying. Arvind Kejriwal says, so tomorrow, if the India alliance was called the Bharat alliance, would you go back? I mean, he's being a little bit facetious, but he's asking a political question. If the opposition alliance had another name, would the response have been different? Listen in.
भारत का ऐसा क्यों किया जा रहा है? ऐसा कहा जा रहा है, इसलिए किया जा रहा है क्योंकि इंडिया नाम का कई सारी पार्टियों का एक अलायंस बना है जिसका नाम इंडिया है. तो अगर किसी पार्टियों का अलायंस इंडिया बन जाता है तो वो देश का नाम बदल देंगे. देश तो 140 करोड़ लोगों का है, किसी एक पार्टी का देश थोड़ी है. कल मान लीजिए इस इंडिया अलायंस ने अपना नाम बदल के भारत रख लिया, तो फिर भारत भी बदल देंगे. फिर क्या भारत का नाम बीजेपी रखेंगे या भारत का नाम फिर क्या रखेंगे? मान लो इंडिया अलायंस ने कल एक मीटिंग करके अपना नाम इंडिया से बदल के भारत रख लिया, तो क्या ये फिर भारत का नाम भारत बदल देंगे? ये क्या मजाक है? देश है भाई, देश इतने हजारों साल पुराना भारत देश है, इतनी बड़ी पुरानी संस्कृति है, इतना पुराना हमारा देश है. उसका नाम इसलिए केवल बदल के रखा जा रहा है क्योंकि इंडिया अलायंस बन गया और बीजेपी को ये लग रहा है कि थोड़े बहुत 4 वोट इनके कम हो जाएंगे इंडिया अलायंस बनने से, तो वोट कम हो जाएंगे इसलिए भारत का नाम बदल दो। ये तो देश के साथ गद्दारी है।
मतलब पार्लियामेंट पैनिक बटन मतलब दब चुका है।
All right, let's take this to Sandeep Ghosh, because this is the point that Sandeep, you were making, that this is what is going to, this is the narrative at least the opposition will build. It will be interesting to see how many takers there are for this narrative. Sandeep, let's go ahead. Let me unmute Sandeep. Yeah, go ahead, Sandeep. Yeah.
Steve, one point is Kejriwal himself tied himself a bit into knots by saying, "Desh hajaron saal ke Bharat hai." So he himself says that it is Bharat is the original name. So that apart, I stand by what I was saying. This will appear like a political move, and as I maintain, there are ways to have done it. What Sanjay was saying, Sanjay, even now, Calcutta High Court is called Calcutta High Court, Madras High Court is called Madras High Court, and so is Allahabad High Court. So they have not changed those because obviously IIT Madras is still IIT Madras, it's not IIT Chennai. So those are, I think, matters of detail and legality. It's the larger substantive question which we are debating. And I think it'll kick up a storm. Obviously, it has not been done without thought. Whether the thought is knee-jerk or not, that's again a matter.
We also don't, Sandeep, we also don't know what's being done. As Sanjay Hegde said, you could have an act of parliament saying certain communication, official communication could now be go from Bharat. It is not that you will not be the president of India, it won't be the Supreme Court of India. We don't know, right, Sandeep? We don't really know right now.
Yeah, and so that is the interesting point, or rather amusing point, how BJP does these things, to just send out a president's invite and then test the reaction. I'm sure that invite. So that's a very, very typical BJP way of doing. I think as an observer, I would say, at best it's amusing.
Okay, let me. Sandeep is, of course, making the point about it being amusing, and I want to bring in Madhavan, who doesn't find this amusing, who actually thinks this could be something other than amusing. Go ahead, Madhavan. Can we unmute Madhavan, please? Yeah. Hang on, Madhavan. Let me do it. 1 second. Madhavan. Yeah, go ahead.
Let us look at the context in which things have been happening very systematically over the past 5 to 10 years. The Rajpath has been named Kartavya Path, and there has been a Central Vista project to erase what they believe is a colonial legacy. The second thing is the Indian Penal Code has been renamed as Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. And Vivek Dev Roy, who is a member of the government's Economic Advisory Council, on the Independence Day called for the idea of a second constitution of India, a new constitution of India. And we all know that RSS's India map or Bharat map of Akhand Bharat includes everything from Afghanistan to Burma. So they have this whole dream. So we could say that this is a case of pushing the envelope towards the dream of the Akhand Bharat they have. And whether that tallies with the idea of a modern Indian unity is where we are going to examine this. Let me bring in something very, very interesting. Mani Ratnam made a movie called Roja around 1990, which was interestingly and ironically the first Indian movie made on the Kashmir separatist problem of 1990, made first in Tamil, then dubbed in Hindi, and A.R. Rahman shot to fame with that film. But the original lyrics of that song, Bharat Humse Jaan Se Pyara Hai in Hindi, was written in Tamil by Vairamuthu, and the song has very interesting lyrics. Please permit me to use Tamil for 10 seconds. En Veedu Thai, Tamara Tamara goes the song. It doesn't say India, India or Bharat, Bharat. Instead of Bharat Humko Jaan Se Pyara Hai, in Tamil it goes Tamara Tamara Nalai Nam Nale. Tamilian, tomorrow is ours. And then it says, please let me just go into the translation. It says, my homeland is Tamil Nadu. Say that loud, but call me Indian and stand up for India. Uses the word Indian, not Bharatiya.
Right.
And then goes on to say the color may change, the character may change, the place may change, the earth may change, the language may change, but the meaning is one. And it uses the word Indian throughout. When it was translated in Hindi or dubbed in Hindi, the word Bharat was substituted. So therefore, an modern Indian constitution as a union of states, as a federation of consensual, documented, constitution-based unity exists in India. And therefore,
Okay.
last point, very important point, Barkha. Nationalism as a global idea is only 500 years old.
Okay.
What we are trying to do is to create a civilizational identity and merge it into a modern identity, not the other way around.
Okay, I can see that you're not amused, and I just want to clarify that I think what amuses Sandeep is the fact that nobody actually knows what's happening. That is the amusing part. Sandeep himself, as an admirer of the Prime Minister, is not convinced of this move. Banu, as someone who has often supported government policies, it's not clear what's actually going on. Says the Hindu right may actually be divided on this. None of us know, and that is the amusing part, that the government is past master at keeping everybody guessing. And we have gone the whole gamut from women's reservation bill to one nation, one bill to now saying this fresh resolution is coming in Parliament. And the truth is, we simply have no idea. Nobody does. I want to play out Rajiv Chandrasekhar and what he has said on this in a moment. Banu, go ahead. These are last comments, guys. Just we have a couple of minutes left on the program. Banu, go ahead. Make it quick, please.
So Mr. Madhavan did not sing the whole song completely. So there is a part which says, Vondrana Bharadam Munne Kakum Allava, which says that the Bharat is referred to for India, and says that when the India is united, it will take care of you as well. And that there goes the lyrics. Okay. So okay. So second is
I think he's wanting to say something to you.
I want to say the big song echoes the Indian constitution. It says India, that is Bharat. So it begins with India and then says Bharat. Therefore, it is exactly in line with the constitution of the Republic.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Madhavan, let Banu complete his point. Banu, go ahead. Yeah.
See, Barkha, like, in negotiation strategy, right? Like one of the best negotiation strategy is to make the opposition negotiate with himself or herself or with the group. So that's exactly what the BJP has done. It has not done anything. It has not done any talking. So now you see Kejriwal actually positing a theory. Then you have other opposition players positing their own theories. And, they want to play this game and, want to make these disparate India alliance people tie themselves in knots. Okay. So I think that seems to be the strategy. And to be fair, the alliance actually had come up with a very catchy name. And I think BJP is sort of a bit rattled by that. See, they came up initially with the Gamandia thing. Then it was Indian Mujahideen. Then it was ... alliance. And now they're going with India alliance, right? So I think this is one of the many arrows in the quiver that the BJP is using to counter the change in nomenclature.
I think that's a very fair point. Let's not pretend that anything in an election year, both from the government and the opposition, and it can be any party, is not deeply political. Now, Sushil Modi, leader of the BJP, says that the constitution, both India and Bharat are there. For 75 years, if the president of India was written, what's the objection in writing president of Bharat? I think we've all said that there's no objection. Sanjay Hegde said, as long as India is not effaced in any permanent sense. But then the point that the BJP is now building on is that India is somehow a British, a colonial sort of consequence, and a decolonization should pivot us to Bharat. But it is independent India's constitutional architects who said India, that is Bharat. Nevertheless, before last comments from Sandeep and Sanjay Hegde, listen to what Rajiv Chandrasekhar had to say.
कि प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया की जगह पर प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ भारत लिखा हुआ है,
तो इसमें मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा इसमें गलत क्या है। भारत हमारा देश भारत ही है, इसमें प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ भारत लिखने में किसको तकलीफ है?
तो कांग्रेस कह रही है संविधान से छेड़छाड़ है सर। कांग्रेस कह रही है संविधान से छेड़छाड़।
कांग्रेस को तो सब कुछ छेड़छाड़ी दिखता है ना। उनको एक दिन सनातन धर्म को इरेडिकेट करना है, दूसरा दिन कुछ और बोलेंगे। इसमें मुझे कोई नहीं लगता इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम है। भारत का नाम अगर हम भारत नहीं यूज करेंगे तो क्या यूज करेंगे?
So the speculation is that in the upcoming
I can't comment on people's speculation and their mental problems. Our country is Bharat. On that, there should be no two doubts about this.
Will it be a part of the special sessions? That's what some are asking.
But you'll have to wait and see, isn't it? No.
You'll have to wait and see, and by then we would have had 40 other theories about what's actually going to happen in this parliament session. Very quickly, Sandeep, before I give the last word to Sanjay Hegde, a politically clever coupling there with the Sanatan Dharm controversy of Udaynidhi Stalin. That's also ammunition that the BJP has been given. That's also exposed chinks in the armor of a cohesive response from the India alliance. But on this, they're going to be united. They're going to say, you're scared of us. That's why you're doing this name change, if the name change is happening? Very quickly, Sandeep.
See, Barkha has been open season of speculations. We did a show the other day to think where is one nation, one election. The funny thing is, BJP is, first kind of leaking it and then backing it up with some action. Thereafter, this committee was formed with and now this is happening. So, they're kind of keeping it there. So, a lot of things happening and it will continue to go through. If Bharat happens, totally on the side, I have another issue. People abroad are already trying to compare Modi with Erdogan and all that. And now they'll say, oh, he made Turkey see. Another person is now making Bharat. So they are all thinking in the same way. It'll just kind of mount that kind of speculation as well.
Yeah, I think that's very sagely pointed out, that you can't separate the politics and some of the already existing narratives, both for and against. Sanjay Hegde, very quickly, to build, and this has to be the last word, I'm afraid, gentlemen, to build on your point that you could legally have an act of parliament specifying in which communication the word Bharat is to replace India. That would not be legally problematic, because everywhere else where India is used will continue to be used. Sanjay?
Well, constitutionally may not be problematic, but the government of the day would have to deal with the emotions of a whole host of people who are invested with India. I am 58 years old. I was born an Indian. I hope to die an Indian.
Okay, we will leave it there. And again, remind our viewers that the Constitution says India, that is Bharat. The Constitution, that generous document, an inclusive document, allows for both to coexist. Since we were children, we have called ourselves Indian and sung the national anthem with the words Bharat Bhagya Vidhata. And I see no contradiction in the coexistence of both of these entities. Let's see what happens. As Sandeep Ghosh says, none of us have the foggiest idea, and it's open season. But for a change, as Sandeep also pointed out, there's no smoke without fire. There is actually some forward movement on all of these things that have been in the domain of rumors. It's interesting times. We will leave it there for now. Thank you, Sanjay Hegde, Madhavan Narayan, Sandeep Ghosh, and to Banu. Thank you so much, and we'll keep you posted as the story develops further. Thank you for watching. See you soon. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.